What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast, where we discuss everything in college football, NFL, a little bit of NBA, college basketball. I'm an Illini fan and Bears fan, so you're going to get a Illini recap, Bears recap. Unfortunately, I know, and we'll discuss everything going on in those worlds. And there's also episodes out there where I talk to football coaches or basketball coaches all over the United States and do some great content there. If any of that interests you at all, please hit the like button and the subscribe button and the bell notification to let you know when a new episode comes out on the Coach Steve Show YouTube channel. You can find the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and wherever you listen to them, please follow it, rate it, give a review, be a friend, tell a friend, share it out. It helps the algorithm and helps the podcast out so much. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Anybody out there that does listen. The podcast is also brought to you by the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. If you go to bellyupsports.com, you can check out all the content there, all the different blogs and podcasts that go on there. Thank you, Belly Up Podcast Network, for letting my podcast be on your network. Betting season is in full swing. If you head over to mybookie.ag to make your same-game parlays, in-game bets, money lines, and you use the code BELLYUPFANTASY, all one word, it's going to double your very first deposit. That is free money. Who doesn't like free money? So mybookie.ag, your very first deposit, use the code BELLYUPFANTASY, all one word, and it's going to double your very first deposit. This podcast is also brought to you by Coach Stone Football and his Back to the Basics books and drills. Go to CoachStoneFootball.com and check out all of his books on football drills, practice planning, game planning, strength and conditioning, offense, defense, and much more. You will never need to look up another drill again. Thank you, Coach Stone, for sponsoring the podcast. Are you looking for an energy drink to help with that midday pick-me-up, but don't want that crash that happens after about an hour or so? Or are you looking for that pre-workout before you run over to the gym without the jitters? Well, if you head over to SwiftLifestyles.com, you're going to get just that. It's a clean nutritional drink for any part of your day. They will also sponsor gamers. So if you are a new gamer on Twitch or an older gamer on Twitch, they want to sponsor you and want to talk to you. So if you go to swiftlifestyles.com and use the code Coach Steve Show, all one word, you're going to get 15% off your order. It comes in a tub that looks like pre-workouts. Get 30 servings. You're not buying just the can, for just drinking the can and you're done. You're gonna use the Coach Steve Show, all one word, get 15% off. You're gonna get a tub, 30 servings. You can get a shaker, use a glass. Stir it in, whatever you need. I recommend the bubblegum flavor. It is delicious. So swiftlifestyles.com, Coach Steve Show, all one word, and you will get 15% off your order. Let's dive in. Craziness has still not slowed down in college football. Things continue to change. I don't know the last time we have seen this many head coaching changes in college football. It seems like every day a new report comes out for a job, things change, things are adapting. The latest college football changes comes from Miami. Miami hired Mario Cristobal after firing Manny Diaz. Now, I came out publicly on my podcast and on Twitter, and I said, I don't like the way Miami has handled this situation. Now, I think college football is much, much better when Miami is good. Now, I'm not talking, the U, not the U days. No. I'm talking like just good football. Just good football. I think it's better that way. Now, I could be wrong. I just think college football is better when Miami is competing and fighting. So this is not me talking bad about Miami, because I know some people that played at the U, and this is not a knock to them. But what I am saying is this. I don't like the way they handle it. Now, people like to comment and say, what drama are you talking about with Miami? Oh, if you paid attention to Miami, you would know there's craziness. Things has never been the right way. And guess what? That may be true. But since I'm not a Miami fan, I don't know that. And I'll be honest with you. But here's what I'm saying. Mario Cristobal, coach there, went there, loves Miami. He loves the U. Now he's got a pretty sweet gig at Oregon. But there's no place like home. Clicking your heels together, there's no place like home. But reports swirling before this week, that they had reached out to Mario Cristobal and his representatives to try and get him to Miami while Manny Diaz is still hired. Now, people want to point out to me, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with hiring him or keeping Manny Diaz? And if you don't get this guy, it's fine. And I said, fire him. You need to fire him. Well, people want to tell me, well, why fire him? What if you don't get Mario Cristobal? Well, then you got this guy. What? Now, you're right to your opinion. You're right to what you think. I get it. I understand it. But what I'm talking about is from my point of view, what does that say about your administration when, if you're going to be a head coach at this place, are they going to do the same thing to you where maybe you're not doing what you set out to do? Manny Diaz did not set out to do what he did. He wasn't getting it done. And he knows it. They had a winning record at Miami, but he's not getting done exactly what he was. Coming into this year, they had to play Alabama first. They were ranked pretty high. But he's not doing what he set out to do. Now, he did leave Temple pretty quickly. So this could be karma. But in my opinion, from watching the LSU thing with Coach Ed Orgeron and that administration, how they were not able to get, like a Lincoln Riley, Mel Tucker, Venables, names like that have been swirled around, Lane Kiffin, Mario Cristobal. You start to wonder if it's the administration, and we'll get to LSU and everything here in a minute. But to talk about the changes in college football, to me, this is a red flag with Miami. If you come take this job before Mario Cristobal accepted it, if you take this job and you don't do what you set out to do, what if they start doing this? Now, this is college football in a nutshell, and this is a whole nother podcast episode that I could go on for 2 hours. And there's no way to fix it because of how long we've allowed this to continue. This is a part of the business. I understand it. But I can still talk about how I don't like it. You're right to your opinion. I have the right to mine. I will have this conversation with you. Sometimes not over Twitter. Sometimes not over text message. Maybe it needs to be a face-to-face thing. And some of you just kind of need to realize the way you come off on exchange messages can be a little weird. But nonetheless, I think it's because the reports had come out is where I have a problem. If they would have came out on Sunday or Monday morning or whatever, Sunday saying Miami is parting ways with Manny Diaz, and then Monday, Mario Cristobal's hired, I would have said, okay, they talked to him, blah, blah. But with the reports coming out, they are reaching out to Mario Cristobal. Then reports come out and say, well, if they don't hire him, they're going to keep Manny Diaz. If I'm Manny Diaz, I'm like, man, I want to quit, but then they don't pay me to buy me out. But this sucks. Now it's part of the business and everything else. All I'm saying is, from my point of view, that part sucks. Put yourself in a situation, whether you're a manager, whatever job you have, but let's just go my lane here. If you're a teacher and you're teaching history, and all of a sudden another teacher comes by and says, hey, I heard that they're talking to this history teacher to take your spot, but if he doesn't accept the job, they're going to keep you. That would make you feel pretty bad. Now, you're going to be grateful if you keep a job, but in the back of your mind, does that administrator or whoever's hiring have my back? You're a high school football coach, because a lot of this is high school football coaches. If you are a coach and you're coaching quarterbacks, and all of a sudden you see the head coach talking to a guy sometimes, and all of a sudden another coach comes up to you and says, hey, the head coach is talking to so-and-so. He may offer him your job at quarterback coach. Now, he doesn't accept it, you're probably going to keep it, I'm sure. But you as an assistant coach, would you trust that guy? You'd probably go tell, and you probably wouldn't, I wouldn't. And you probably go tell other assistant coaches, well, this is what he's doing. Instead of the coach come up to you and saying, hey, you're not getting the job done. I'm moving on. I got to put somebody else here. Maybe you're going to go down to freshman or whatever the case. That's where my brain goes. Is this overthinking it? Probably. But I guess this is the state of Miami now. And defending, Miami does not have an athletic director. It is reported they are about to hire the Clemson athletic director. Okay. Again, decisions that are being made without the athletic director, I've seen this before. Now, he's not going to come in and fire Mario Cristobal. I hope not. I've seen this before with Illinois. Tim Beckman was let go. Coach Cumbit was Cumbit, I can't say his name. Interim coach. They offer him a contract. There's no athletic director, or the athletic director had left. Joshua was first day, fires the head coach, hires Lovie Smith because he wants his guy. I don't think Clemson's athletic director that's coming in to be Miami's athletic director is going to fire Mario Cristobal because of what he has done and his coaching record and his career. But that's not a good move either. Where you should hire the athletic director first and then have conversations with the athletic director to say, who should we bring in to run our football program? Makes sense to me, but what do I know? This is me not talking bad about the U. Again, the U is much better when you have good football there. Now, I've heard they have to upgrade facilities, but hiring Mario Cristobal is a good move. Now, does this mean they're going to win championships? Yet to be seen. Who am I to judge? Some people are grading this hire as a D or a C. I think it's a B or an A just because of his track record. Now, has he done marvelous things in Oregon? Yeah, but he's been pretty good. Good coaching career. So I think he's going to turn the U around of culture, trying to build the culture up. Are they going to win national championships? Probably not. With the landscape of college football, with what Lincoln Riley could do at USC, with who's in the ACC of Clemson, which I'll talk about some other time of what's happening with Clemson. So I wanted to get that part off my chest and open up this podcast with that of who people saying to me, because I put out a message saying we can have different ideas and views and topics and discuss them. And apparently I am not the right person to do that. And I apologize to people who think I come off that way. I do apologize, but we can have different viewpoints. And it's hard to have those viewpoints through a message on Twitter. So here is me talking about it from my brain. This is what it looks like. I completely 110% understand the other side. Well, if we don't get Mario Cristobal, at least we have Manny Diaz who has a winning record and everything else. I understand it. I get it. I'm listening and I hear you. Just please hear my side of where my brain went. Now we'll see. What do I think about the Mario Cristobal hire? It's a good hire. You're going to bring a guy in that can recruit, that can coach, that gets the best out of the players that he can get, loves Miami. That is home to him. He's going to do everything he can to get the U back. So I think it's a good hire. Is it a slam dunk hire? I don't know if I'd go that far yet because of his head coaching career, but has done a lot of good things. It's a good hire. It's a good hire. So good for the U. Oklahoma head coach and Brent Venables. Brent Venables coming home, who coached with Bob Stoops, I believe, from 2009 or 1999, excuse me, all the way up to about 2009, I believe. So he's coming home, which is good for Oklahoma for his coaching career. He's done a lot of good things at Clemson, won a few national titles as a defensive coordinator, was defensive coordinator for Bob Stoops. This is a great hire because of what's about to happen to Oklahoma. You need a guy that understands how to recruit, like at Clemson, where they're recruiting guys that could play in the SEC. Understand how your defense can combat an SEC team when they've beat Alabama a couple times. Now, the reason they can beat Alabama a couple times, they have the talent at Clemson, but they're not playing SEC schedule week in and week out. They're playing the ACC. I think Oklahoma stood there and thought, okay, who knows Oklahoma's landscape? Well, Brent Venables. Who has learned from good head coaches? Well, he learned from Stoops and he learned from Dabo Swinney. Check, check. Learned a lot. Does he understand how to recruit Oklahoma? What Oklahoma's about? Check. We're about to embark into the SEC. Who can bring that defensive edge to us and help build the culture? Check. That's what you get from Brent Venables. That's who you're bringing in. Brent Venables has also found his offensive coordinator. Oklahoma football coach Brent Venables will hire Ole Miss offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Jeff Lebby. He's going to become the Sooners offensive coordinator. He's about to earn $2 million annually slated. It'd make him one of college football coach's highest paid coordinators. Lebby played football at Oklahoma, coached high-power Rebels offense, and ranked fourth in yards at 506 yards per game in the FBS while ranking the top 25 in scoring, 35.9 points a game, and pass offense, 282 yards in FBS. So played for Oklahoma. Another guy that understands Oklahoma. So a slam dunk hire for OU to get Brent Venables. And I don't want to hear, well, he doesn't have head coaching experience, so is that going to be good for Oklahoma? Sometimes you cannot use, well, they don't have head coaching experience. Because if that's the case, there would never be head coaches. But he's been a great assistant and has seen how to build a program. And that's what he will bring. Brent Venables' name gets brought up every single year, if not his name's brought up every other year, if not every year, for head coaching positions. No, he had a good thing going at Clemson. Clemson will be a whole nother topic. He was waiting for the right job and the right time where he felt ready. And sometimes you don't feel ready, you're not going to do it. He felt ready. He felt prepared. And Oklahoma's a job he probably had on his radar before, when it was open before Lincoln Riley got it, because he had become interim and then took it. So there was no opportunity to hire and try to bring him in. But I'm sure that was on his radar for him taking this job. It's a slam dunk hire. You are going to see a much improved defense for Oklahoma coming into the Big 12 and heading on to the SEC. I am more curious at who he's going to hire for his get back guy. That's got to be a great gig. I want to throw my name into that hat. He could pay me less money than anybody. I'll take $100,000 a year to be his get back guy. On to the topic that has been thrown around a little bit. It's quieted down a little bit, but I wanted to give it time to quiet down. Brian Kelly took off to LSU. And I've talked about before, I don't like how he did it. Did not inform his assistant coaches. When he did, it was through text message. Did his exit with the players that took about 4 minutes. A video leaked of it, and it was 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes. Then he tried to walk through the players to hope they hug him, give him a high five. None of that was happening. It was reported assistant coaches were not happy. He was hoping Coach Coach Reese would go with him. He offered Marcus Freeman to be the highest paid coordinator in college football. He tried to get different assistant coaches to come with him. They all refused. That to me is a red flag for LSU. Now, it's too late. You hired him. You're going to pay him $95 to $100 million over 9 to 10 years. For the rest of college football and fans, that would be a red flag to me because normally when you're a head coach and you take jobs, you bring most, if not all of your staff with you. Assistant coaches, analysts, everything else. Anything that incorporates with you, you usually bring with you. Here's an example. At AIU with Coach Babers, he was there for 2 years when he coached Jimmy G. When he left and went to Bowling Green, he took the entire staff with him. Then when he went to Syracuse, did the same thing. If you look at the staff at Syracuse, there are still some on that staff that were there for EIU. You just bring them with. Now, some might be retained because they want to stay. Sometimes you don't bring everybody with you, which is okay. But more often than not, you bring most of them with you. That's not the case right now. He's not bringing that whole staff with him. They did not follow him. And I said this when I recorded the podcast. It's not so much that he took the job at LSU. It's how he took the job at LSU. It was quick. There could have been a meeting about it. Hey, guys. To his coaching staff first. Could have called a meeting. Yeah, they're out recruiting. Have a meeting. Zoom is a thing. Have a Zoom meeting. Now, some people could talk bad about that. Oh, that's just like a text message. No, it's better than nothing. It's better than a text message. And say, guys, LSU's come to me with this offer. And it's an offer that I feel like I have to try. I want to try coaching in the SEC. My family likes it down there. And I talked to the representatives at LSU. I want to bring, you could say, if you want to bring everybody, you could say, I want to bring all you guys with me. If you don't want to bring everybody with you, you tell the whole staff and you tell them, this is going to happen. I'm going to accept it. I thank you guys for everything you've ever done, and go off on this huge tangent, talk to them for a while, and then say, I'm going to be finalizing a staff. And then you meet with who you want. I think that would have been a better way to go about it. Have them stop recruiting for that, to tell them. Then you bring in the players before it gets out there and say, guys, and talk longer than 4 minutes. So these are red flags to me with Brian Kelly. There's reports that Brian Kelly's not a nice guy. I can't say whether that's true or not, only because I've never talked to the guy. People can say whatever they want to me. I'm talking about for me personally. I can't say that because I don't know who he is. Never had a conversation. Another red flag. They introduced Brian Kelly at a basketball game. He's talking to the crowd. He develops a southern accent. Me and my family, we love being here. Ooh-wee. My stars and my pearls. We love LSU, baby. Woo, it's hot down here. Where's the barbecue? No, he didn't quite do that. But he talked to the crowd and all of a sudden developed a southern accent. This fake southern accent. And I don't know if the fans noticed it or we noticed it. Thank you, Barstow, for pointing it out, because I wouldn't have watched it. These are a little concerning. And then Coach Greasy addresses the team and says, my heart's at Notre Dame, because he played at Notre Dame. My heart's at Notre Dame. I'm not going anywhere. Or, like on Wall Street, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Does that. Marcus Freeman had decided not to go either. Then the players start putting out on social media, they want Marcus Freeman. And they got pushed and pushed. And then finally they hire Marcus Freeman. Now, here's the difference. Brian Kelly does his little 4-minute leave. Players don't do nothing. Marcus Freeman's speech about Notre Dame, about how this is the prestige of football, the recruiting he's going to do to get the players to play. He wants the best for the players. He wants to win. He wants to be competitive. It was a good speech. Really got in there. And he's young. He's energetic. He knows football. Keeping Brian Greasy at his offense coordinator, who has done a good job. Who won? Now reports are that LSU has better facilities or is upgrading them. Might be better than Notre Dame. Okay. I don't think Notre Dame has that bad of facilities. One thing I think Marcus Freeman won for a couple of reasons. One, what I just said. The players jumping down shows in his first year as a defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Those players loved him. Or they love him. They like playing for him. They respect him. I thought Brian Kelly, as long as he stayed at Notre Dame, that those players liked playing for him. And I don't know what went on. Maybe it was just because he left. That's why they didn't do it. Maybe there's no other reason. Maybe they didn't really enjoy that. Now, they wouldn't have gone there, I don't think, without him. Maybe it was assistant coaches. Who can say? But I think Marcus Freeman wins in this situation, and Notre Dame wins in this situation. You have a guy that I think is going to push them at Notre Dame. The way he was able to coach at Cincinnati with their defense, the way he was able to turn around Notre Dame defense after they struggled at the beginning of the year, the recruiting, and just the passion from the players, the coaches. That coaching staff wants to stay there. So this just says huge volumes. And it says huge volumes when the administration heard the players. It reminds me of the 85 Bears before they hired Coach Ditka. Coach Buddy Ryan was put up for the head job. They were going to hire Coach Ditka. The players told George Halas, you've got to keep Buddy Ryan at all costs. Now, that causes friction, but those players wanted to play for Buddy Ryan on defense. These players wanted Marcus Freeman. The administration looked at it and said, you know what? He understands Notre Dame being here a year. The players get it. They like playing for him. Let's go. Let's roll. When Brian Kelly showed up to LSU, you didn't see that. Now, I'm not saying you always have to see this fist pumping and jump up and down. The reason why you saw that Notre Dame was because they're playing for the guy for this year. But really, LSU, I think, did a panic hire. And it kind of looks weird when you're Notre Dame and you're number 6 in the nation. Now, you didn't make the college football playoff, but at that point in time, if certain dominoes fell, they were making the college football playoff. If certain people lost, if Cincinnati lost this week, who was going to go? Well, Notre Dame, because Oklahoma State lost. If Alabama lost with Oklahoma State losing, who bumps up? Notre Dame. So you left without knowing if you were making the college football playoff. And again, the whole landscape of coaches leaving early and the season's not over. I can't stand it. It's the signing period. It's all got to change because I don't like, and then I think this opened it. I think it's proposed they're going to change some of it. So I think Notre Dame wins in this situation. Marcus Freeman wins in this situation. And you're not coaching the SEC every week. I think the time has come for Notre Dame to join a conference, whether it's the ACC or the Big Ten, but the time has come for them to join a conference. I think that Marcus Freeman would do well coaching. I think they fit well in either conference. I think it'd be kind of cool to put them in the Big Ten because you've already got Indiana and Purdue there. They could travel right up and play Michigan and over in Ohio State and Minnesota and all that. Keep your TV deal. I'm sure they can work out something, and the time has come. But with Marcus Freeman able to keep some of the staff, Brian Kelly now has put a staff together. With that administration, LSU, and what's happened, is it really a win? I have a feeling LSU is going to be a debacle here for a year or two. We're going to see what happens. But I think Notre Dame is going to do pretty well. We're going to see it in this bowl game. We're going to see this little preview of it. Coach Reese had to run kind of a little bit what Brian Kelly wanted him to run, but I know he had his own sprinkles. So we're going to see what that transforms into. It's going to be fun. I think Notre Dame wins. I think Marcus Freeman won. And we're not done with this college football coach craziness and things that could happen, which we'll talk about at a later time. I don't think we're done with some of this craziness, and we got to see the staff that's LSU, staff at OU, staff at USC, and staff out in Nebraska. There's places, and there's still job openings of Duke and different places. Oregon now. So at the end of all this, who goes to Oregon? That's a big time job. Who gets that one? So that's a whole, we're not done. We're not done. But thank you guys so much for listening. Again, like, subscribe, share out, follow it, rate it, all that good stuff. Coach Steve Show podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, the YouTube channel, Belly Up Sports, even Unhinged, way back, we're going old school. Check out all the episodes on the podcast and the weekly episodes. Be a friend, tell a friend, all that good stuff. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, this is Coach Steve. It's been another episode of Coach Steve Show podcast, and we are out of here.